If you are here, you wish to know. Welcome to What's News This Week, a weekly series where I speak about different releases that I found interesting, so I could keep up and you also don't miss out on new video game releases. And the first thing we're gonna talk about today is Primal Planet, which is Metroidvania, or Dinavania, how a developer called it. So, you are family man on a primal planet full of dinosaurs, and you will travel with a little dinosaur of your own pet, and will prevail against all other dinosaurs in order to save your family, wife and kid. And you also will have to do crafting, and dealing with other animals, and destroying everything in your path with fire, and using one pet dinosaur against other little dinosaurs, and do stealth when it's necessary. All for protection of your family. And it's a game from solo developer that's making everything on his own, so it's kinda awesome. So, oh yeah, you also get experience for hacking a life. So yeah, it's maybe a fun game. Mado Monogatari, Fia, and the Wondrous Academy. So the girl always dreamed to become a magician, a mage, and she wants to join a magical academy in order to become a mage, and that's what she's gonna do. In this fantasy journey, she will meet a bunch of different characters trying to finish entrance exam, and that's pretty much all I know. It's a series that I never played, but it's like new entrance in the series from Idea Factory, it seems. So I know there will be many quirky different characters, and it's probably a JRPG. Rekindled Trails. So the main character has a debt that he needs to pay, like an Animal Crossing, and he will have to do everything in his way in order to fix this debt of his, and he can do it in massive different ways. In order to gain money, he needs to do fishing, because fishing game is a must, collect ore, and I suppose wood and stone, and cook and deliver all different stuff that he can collect to all different merchants, and I suppose this whole game you will be collecting stuff and presenting stuff, and okay, it's like maybe a chill experience. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound from Blasphemous developers. It's a Ninja Gaiden game with a lot of blood, where ninjas will be traveling around and beat demons and cyborgs, against whom usually people fight in Ninja Gaiden, demons or cyborgs, or both. So yeah, it's gonna be like a great platformer experience with a lot of bloodshed. And unfortunately, that's all I found interesting this week. So, if you want the channel to live and grow, please support me here on all social media, share my videos with anyone using or sharing, do job platforms from YouTube to Twitch to Trovo to Blue Sky to Twitter to whatsoever. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos and streams. Bye.